The Philadelphia Phillies have officially punched their ticket to the playoffs on the back of Aaron Nola, as always. He has broken a record within this Phillies franchise and has continued to lack acknowledgement for being one of the most talented players on roster. Me and Luke are going to break down exactly what went down with Nola and this team, expectations for the playoffs, and really give him his flowers in a way that he has not properly received in the city of Philadelphia. Now, before we dive fully into it, I do want to remind you guys to make sure you are smashing that subscribe button. Let's get past that 1,000 subscriber marks before the playoffs tip off. So we need each and every one of you a part of that. Make sure that you are smashing that button, showing us a little bit of support. And to throw it to the topic of today, Luke, Aaron Nola has the most wins of any Philly ever at Citizens Bank Park. Put this into context, what exactly this means, and why he deserves his flowers in a way that he does not properly receive.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Nola's been a consistent workhorse for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
There's not many guys anymore that can pitch at that level for 10 straight years. And you can go back and you can pull out his seasons where he's had an ERA in the fours. If you really want to do that, if you really want to waste your time. But since 2022, Aaron Nola has started 7 games the Phillies could either clinch a postseason berth, win a postseason series, or win a division title. Nola has posted a 1.62 ERA with 46 strikeouts to 7 walks in those 7 games. These last 3 years, Aaron Nola in 4 different clinch opportunities in the regular season for the playoffs and division. 26.1 innings pitched, 16 hits, 4 earned runs, 33 strikeouts for a 1.37 ERA. Not a single pitcher in baseball has thrown more innings than Aaron Nola since 2018. He has 60 more innings than the next person, and he has the 3rd highest F4 amongst pitchers since 2018, trailing just Zack Wheeler and Garrett Cole.
Wow.
Those are 2 pretty good guys in front of him, I would say.
One being his teammate.
Yeah, one being his teammate. It's just Nola's got roped into this thing in this city where I think Reese was almost following in the same steps, because I'm not saying Reese is a better baseball player than Nola, because he's not. But Rhys Hoskins and Aaron Nola the last 2 years were 2 of, for some reason, the most hated Phillies throughout these playoff runs. It was just a lot of flack and a lot of targeted hate. And I think a lot of people tend to wrap the long tenured guys into the past failures.
Sure.
And I think you really can't do that. In 2018, this Phillies team had no life, and Aaron Nola nearly won the Cy Young if freaking Jacob deGrom and Max Scherzer didn't strike out 300 guys that season. This guy's just unbelievable. And I get it. He has the blow up inning here and there. And people get frustrated when the Phillies get some momentum and he goes out and he lays a dud. There's no surprise. He lays dud starts here and there. It just happens. I'll tell you what, Zack Wheeler does the same thing. And Zack Wheeler is an unbelievable pitcher. Zack Wheeler's had some really bad starts this year. I would love for everyone to go look at stats this year from guys like Garrett Cole and guys like Justin Verlander and guys like that. These long tenured guys, you're not getting a 1.5 ERA out of these guys. It just doesn't happen. That is baseball.
Yeah.
It is a 7-month grind every year, and for a guy to really consistently go out every year. I talk about this a lot. The biggest positive to a player is their availability.
I'm anti that take.
See, I think for pitchers, I think so. I think for some certain guys, because if you go back and you look at the last 4 years of Aaron Nola's career, Sean, he hasn't missed a single start in 4 years.
That is impressive. But you know what's more
32
important?
starts for 4 years straight.
You know what's more important than him being there is him being good. That the best ability is not availability, it's ability. Now, granted, it's
that's fine.
It's great.
So
Nola
I agree.
has both, but I am anti the availability take.
Okay, that is okay. But I could also say that over those 4 years where he has not missed a start, he's won at least 9 games every year. He's thrown 180 innings every single season, and he has around a 3.75 ERA combined in those 4 years. So it's just consistency. He's one of the most workhorse, consistent starters in baseball, and I don't think we give him enough flowers here in this city.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right about that. And for what it's worth, as much as I brush off the availability to the side, as I do think it gets used too often, the fact that he's good on a pretty much every outing basis is incredible. Like, that just does not happen. And to have these as a pairing when we're talking about Aaron Nola and Zack Wheeler as the two guys, the two horses that this team has to run with, is some really special stuff. We also got this quote from Rob Thomson, talking about, quote, Aaron Nola is a big game pitcher. He steps up when the lights are the brightest. I know everyone is talking about the game 2 pitcher because Christopher Sanchez pitches so well at home. That's a conversation to have, but Nola is a big game guy. And to put that fully into perspective, Aaron Nola has started both postseason clinching games in 2022 and 2023. He did it last night as well to clinch the NL East, that we do know that. So not only clinch for the playoffs in general, but also to get that divisional title. And I do think, like, I don't want to brush over the point you made about this guy being a homegrown talent, sticking with the organization in an era where we see guys flee across all sports all too often, and there isn't really that show of loyalty. I think it's really cool that this guy has just blossomed into truly one of the best pitchers in the MLB right in front of our eyes, and that, like, both for the Phillies for sticking with him and for Nola to growing to exactly what they could have hoped in, I think it's just like a cooler storyline than anyone really acknowledges.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's, and I'm not comparing these two guys' skill levels because I think one is better than the other. But it's a lot to me like the Joel Embiid situation. You kind of see a guy basically grow up
Yeah.
in the organization. Like, you see Embiid go from this little skinny center come in to now the league MVP, one of the best players for the child, and like it's just like you basically watch these guys grow up like in your city and like for your team. I mean, Aaron Nola came in as a scrawny like 22-year-old.
Yeah.
Like, just, I mean, he made his debut just after his 22nd birthday back in 2015. And now he's 31 and he's still pitching at a really high level. And it is funny. I think a lot of people forget this. The Phillies almost didn't get Aaron Nola. He was drafted by the Toronto Blue Jays in the 22nd round of the 2011 draft. And he actually forgoed that draft because he was such a late pick. He went to school and then he turned into a first rounder that the Phillies ended up taking with the 7th overall pick. So big shout out to the Blue Jays for sort of having him on the map there. But yeah, just an awesome, just really story for Nola. He's just, once his career is all said and done, it's going to be one of the more, I would say, underrated careers when you look at stats based off longevity and games pitched and being out there. And obviously this wins stat, like we said now, with 57 wins at Citizens Bank Park. I honestly, I would be shocked if somebody reaches that. I think that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Pitch, you basically have to pitch. I mean, if you take a really good pitcher, you have to assume that he's going to win 12 to 13 games every season for about 11 to 12 years straight, and then say half of those would be at home. That's a pretty hard ask
Yeah.
because you don't see a lot of longevity now in pitchers. You see a lot of hard throwing guys whose elbows give out and they don't have as long of a career. So the Phillies got really lucky with Nola because they obviously got a great pitcher, but once again they got a guy who you can really rely on, and you know that he's really going to be out there basically every single night for you.
Yeah, 100% there. And we will dig deeper onto the topic as far as game 2 as it gets closer, but I did want to ask your kind of your immediate thoughts. We did revisit this a little bit. I've fully grown onto the hill that all this hype that we're giving for Aaron Nola right now, I want him on the hump for game 3, that I do think that's how things should play out. Do you have any takes on how the Phillies should play their cards there, Luke?
Yeah, I think I'm still leaning Sanchez game 2 just because of how well he pitches at home.
Yeah.
Um, I think if you could go up 2-0 and then have Aaron Nola throw a game 3, I mean that's nasty. There's not, and I'm not saying Aaron Nola is the number 3 starter because
No.
he's not, but there's not a team that would throw a game 3 out that would have a better arm than Aaron Nola. And I think that's going to be a huge advantage. I mean, if you go across some of these National League teams that the Phillies could face, and you think about who their number 3 starter would, I mean, Aaron Nola runs laps around just about all of them. So that's where I think the Phillies would really have an advantage. And if you can use Sanchez's stats to help him, I think that can really benefit this team to now have Nola for a game 3.
Yeah, 100% there. And we'll dive deeper into that as we do have the matchups laid out in front of us. Still a couple more games in the regular season until the calendars flip to Red October there. So make sure you're along for the ride with us right here on Phillies Digest. Do want to remind as many of you guys as possible, make sure you are subscribing. That we do want to get over that 1,000 subscriber mark before playoff baseball starts off, and want as many of you along with the ride as possible. So make sure you are smashing that subscribe button, dropping a like on this video, any comments you have below, and me and Luke will be talking with you next time. Peace.